I actually finished with B, C, D, D, U. Maybe not disappointed in you, but disappointed for you because they wanted you to do well, and I got that feeling from my teachers.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So today I've got a very special guest with me. Here's Ollie, also known as the Postgrad Medic here on YouTube. You might already know him.
Hello.
Thank you for being on this channel.
I know, I feel like it's taken a long time for us to meet.
Yes. So, I mean, as Ollie will tell you, he is a second year graduate medic at Warwick University. And we have been planning this for a while, haven't we? But, we finally found some time to meet and film a collab video. And here we are. Okay, so I'm just going to get straight into it, I guess. So why don't you just start off by giving us a little bit of an intro and just tell us about where you are in life, where you are with your journey.
It's not very interesting.
No, he's downplaying it.
I will do my best. So, as was just said, I'm a second year. I've just recently started this past year, my second year on the grad entry programme at Warwick. Before which I did a 3-year degree in cellular and molecular biology at Newcastle University, and I have a kind of the same story as everyone in that my A-levels didn't go quite as I hoped they would. We can maybe talk about that later in more detail, but I did my A-levels, then did a first degree, went straight from my first degree to medical school as a graduate, and now at Warwick we only have the one preclinical year where you basically do all your academic medicine in a year, and now I'm on clinical placement.
And here we are. So I guess just to pick up on what you said about the A-levels, so I assume, guys, I'm sorry if you can hear, I'm gonna shut this door, it's really hot in here, but hold on. Okay, anyway, as I was saying, so going back to what you said about A-levels, so I guess that biomed was never your initial option and you wanted to go and do medicine from the get-go.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, obviously, I'm not one of the biomed crew. I didn't do biomed.
There's nobody, I'm yet to meet somebody who just wanted to do biomed, oh my god.
Yeah, I think, I think I'm similar to most people who did want to do medicine from, when you're at school and you think, I might actually have to get a job one day, and your school is kind of telling you to think about what you might want to do. Yeah, so as I say, my A-levels, do you want to talk specifically about?
I think it might be quite good for you just to share your experience of A-levels, because we were kind of talking off camera about this, that some people who go into medicine, even if it's grad, usually come from a really high A-level academic background. I wasn't one of those people, and neither was Ollie, but yeah, let's talk about it, because I think it's important for people to know that even if you don't get the most the best grades, it doesn't mean that you ultimately can't go on to do medicine.
No, I think, so again, I'm sure this will be familiar to lots of you, where we were high achievers consistently in school. You do your GCSEs, you get all your A stars, you do all that. Then you kind of hit A-levels and then I actually have to try now. And there's a bit of a roadblock that you can kind of hit. So due to a combination of that and some kind of personal things that were going on, I actually finished my, what was then AS year, it isn't anymore, but my first year of A-levels with B, C, D, D, U. So I did 5 A-levels. I did biology, chemistry, physics, maths, further maths.
Yes. But in itself it's intense.
Which was a stupid idea.
You only need 3.
It's pointless. Don't do that. What I actually was given, basically I was given the option of resitting the first year, which was very kind of my school. I think that's quite unusual, because they knew I wanted to do medicine, or I could retake all my AS or select AS exams that I wanted to retake in my second year, so I would still be within the 2-year period for applying to medical school. Or, if I wanted to go to medical school afterwards. But with those grades, they're, B, C, D, D, U, for some people, they'd be very happy with those grades, and that's no comment on that at all. But for medicine, obviously not what you need. So I did not apply to university when I was 17, when you do your first round of UCAS, and I kind of pulled myself up. I managed to come out of my A-levels with 2 A's and a B, and I was 1 UMS off my 3rd A, which...
That is amazing. That is an amazing jump. No, I get it.
But it was new because you could tell the people around you were maybe not disappointed in you, but disappointed for you because they wanted you to do well, and I got that feeling from my teachers. But they were very helpful in motivating me, and I did that thing when I got my results. I hadn't applied anywhere, but I rang round the medical schools being like, I was so close, will you take me?
Yeah.
I haven't applied, but when I got to Newcastle University, they said, no, but you know what, we do have a place on this cellular and molecular biology degree, which you might like, and we've had people go into graduate medicine before, so you didn't technically take a gap year.
No. You didn't apply, but you kind of went in through the clearing system.
Yeah, I went through clearing without having gone through UCAS in the first instance.
I see. Okay, that's unusual because I've never heard anybody do that before.
Yeah. You don't need a UCAS number to do that.
Ah, that's really interesting. Okay, so I didn't know that. That's something new you guys might not know either. So I guess because you wanted to do medicine from the get-go and like this has been your scenario and you did end up going and doing this undergraduate degree, would you recommend that for anybody who might be watching this who is in the same situation that you were, would you recommend to them going and doing an undergrad like you did? Or would you say take a year out and try again?
What I would say is if you have the grades, that is to say you have your 3As or whatever you decide you need for medical school, personally speaking, I would have taken the year out, I think.
Okay.
And tried to identify what was lacking on my application, whether it was the UK CAT or
work experience,
or whatever you're missing.
Okay.
In my situation, I obviously didn't have the grades, so what I would have done and what I would almost recommend to someone doing is working as a healthcare assistant for a year, because it's easier than some other things to get into the job, but you're getting direct hands-on experience working with people.
Something else I guess I'm going to bring up, because we were having a really interesting conversation again off camera about the opportunities. I'm going to take this a bit of a, steer the conversation a bit, but we were having an interesting conversation about getting work experience to begin with.
Yeah.
So obviously because we're grads, I personally noticed just the level of ease that I could almost walk into voluntary places and stuff during my masters when I was a little bit older and I had more experience. But when you're 17, 18, even 16 if you want to get started early, it's so difficult if you don't already have contacts. So I guess, let's go off on your experience. What would you say to, let's say, somebody who's watching, who's 16, 17, wants to apply to medicine? Where do you begin with work experience? Because, you can practice, you can study for your A-levels, you can practice for UK CAT, things like that on your own, off your own back, if you like.
Yeah.
But what about the other things?
My personal feeling on this, and this may not be the same for everyone, and I only know this in retrospect because I actually didn't have it when I would have been 17 and wanting to apply to medical school. I think that all medical applicants should have, at the very least, some shadowing with a doctor, which when I was 17 I did not have, and you should also have some experience of what patient care is, and you should understand what it means to be a patient, and care homes are an excellent way to do that. And there are care homes everywhere. We have an ageing population, and whether they're private or they're funded or whatever, I think those, find your local GP surgery, go into your local hospital and badger them, because they should, by right, be willing to provide you work experience, and keep trying. And the same with care homes. If you just say, I want to come in maybe every Sunday afternoon or something to come and talk to the patients, to come and see how the nurses that are there maybe look after them. And I think this is again something that I've only realised as I've gotten a bit older, but I think what people appreciate, particularly people who are busy, like doctors, is if you say, I want this, and this is why I want it, can you do it for me? And
I guess on that note, when you said about the numbers game, so I do get this question from you guys a lot saying, in my area we don't have this, I've tried, what do I do? And my answer is always this: increase your numbers. Because let's say there are, you apply to 5 places and all 5 places don't get back to you. Try 20 places and maybe 1 will get back to you. It's just sometimes it is just a case of numbers. I fully appreciate that some people might start off having more of an edge if they, for example, know somebody who works in a care home or has a family member who's within a healthcare setting. But if you are one of those people, then numbers. Because realistically, that's something that you can take responsibility for and you can take ownership of. and without exhausting your options completely, I don't think you should lose hope, basically.
Yeah, I think medical schools know that this is a problem.
Yes.
By the way, one of the very common screening questions that they will ask people to identify is like, are either of your parents doctors? Or something. They want to know about widening participation data.
Yes. Here's another, like, just kind of an off thing. I've heard people do this, I don't know if you know of this, where they'll make an appointment with their own GP and say, please can I sit in with you? Sometimes they're straight up like, no. But I do know people who have gotten experience that way.
That's very smart.
Yeah, like literally just go and see your GP and say, and as you said, be direct and be honest, and they will respect you for your boldness, because it is a bold thing to do.
Yeah.
And if somebody respects it, you can just say, you know, this is what I want, I'm really struggling, you're my GP, could you help me, or could one of your colleagues help me?
Yeah. There's
a chance, you know? So for people who really struggle, you kind of do have to scrape the bottom of the barrel, but there are options, and I think you just have to be a bit clever about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, the reason why you guys might have noticed me looking down is because I did prepare some questions for Ollie, and so that was some of your experience before medical school, and you talked a little bit about your application, which is different. I have to say, I've not heard that before. So since you have started medical school, talk to us a little bit about your experience and how you personally found it, because I know Ollie on his channel, he has interviewed plenty of people. You've interviewed lots of people who have very diverse experiences, but tell us a little bit about yours and how, coming from your background into grad medicine, how you found it, some of the challenges, some of the good things. What would you say to people who want to get into medicine?
Okay, right, so I think the first thing to point out is that Warwick, if you're thinking about going into grad medicine in general, is a good place to apply because they have lots of places. I think the year below me has 200 or something like that.
Which is big for
grad, it's huge. I mean, even for a medical course in general, it's on the bigger side, but it's graduate only. So we have a course that is tailored to be done in 4 years. We don't join an undergraduate course. The reason I have to say that is that the first year we have a preclinical year. That's not to say that you don't do clinical things. You do. You will be seeing patients. You will be doing OSCEs, the clinical exams, as part of your first year exams. So there's a good mix. But they have to cram an enormous amount of material into first year. And even as someone who, you know, I did my science A-levels, I did well in the end. I did my degree and did well there, and had a lot of outside research experience during that time. I think the big thing about coming to medical school is that it's a huge leveler. You are knocked right back. It doesn't matter how good you think you are.
Everyone has to be a certain level of good, if you like, and everybody has strengths in different areas, and you all kind of start off, and you put a bunch of really high functioning people together, it becomes quite difficult. That I've heard that as well from other people who I've spoken to. Yeah,
so academically, that first year of the grad entry course is the hardest mentally thing I've ever had to get through.
And what if you well, this is a difficult question, but I guess if you could summarize, like, could you concentrate a lesson that you have learned through going that challenge that you could share with somebody that might help them?
Don't be afraid to fail, because you will.
Yeah,
and that's non-negotiable really in medicine. You are surrounded by people who are smarter than you. That's also non-negotiable. You start the year, at least this is how I felt, you know, I want to come first. I want to be in the top 10%. Yeah. Then by week 4,
I just want to get through.
I'd like to be in the top 50%. And by the end, literally, you know, speaking as someone who always wanted to do well, a pass in medicine is like what you need. That's something to aim for. Passing is the goal. If you do great, that's perfect. But you will basically be pushed against the limits of what you can do feasibly. And you need to look after yourself during that time, and don't try and do more, because I tried to do more in my first year and it crashed and burned.
Yes, I think a lot of people would have those experiences. So, okay, so I guess we can end it on, I'm going to end the video and ask you to tell people a little bit of an intro about your channel so they know what to expect when they come over. But before we finish, tell us a highlight from your experiences so far.
In the start of second year at Warwick, you do a block called AC1, Advanced Cases 1, where you finish off the teaching that they weren't able to cram into first year, and they are transitioning you into being a full-time clinical student. Part of that is that you start to see surgeries. During that period for me, I had to go and learn like how to scrub in and how to be involved in surgery, and I had a really good surgeon who allowed me to assist in this case. So the first time I'd ever scrubbed in theatre, he said, "Do you want to assist?" And yes please. This was a complete thyroidectomy. So someone having their thyroid gland, and it's called an open book thyroidectomy because they open up the neck like a book. And he was asking me loads of questions about, you know, what is this, why does the thyroid look like this, and so on. And there came a point basically where I had been retracting the whole time, so kind of holding structures out the way, but he then had to do it in a more specialised way and said, okay, do you want to do the diathermy where you can kind of cauterize the vessels? Do you want to do a bit of cutting with the scissors and things? And, you know, get your hands in and like put your hand through there. Like, that's this person's windpipe. Like, this is incredible.
I bet you felt like a real doctor.
I was thinking, you know, how else would I be allowed to do this? People shouldn't be allowed to do this. But that was so exciting.
So I guess to finish off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, the story of how you came to be the Postgrad Medic, and also tell people where they can find you, what kind of videos you make, and all of that fun stuff. So, what's the story? Tell us the history.
Okay. The idea of why I got into YouTube at all is based around the idea of social capital. And that is the idea that people have different resources and different strengths and weaknesses. A lot of time trying to prepare for my medical application, often in very inefficient ways that I didn't know at the time were inefficient, and a lot of dead ends. And as someone who likes to watch YouTube videos, it's what I wish I would have had at that time.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And in terms of the content that I put out, coming back to this idea of social capital, what I'm trying to do, and the content that I make mostly is obviously I vlog as you do about how things are going more generally, what I'm enjoying about the course. A lot of it is focused on, because it's a grad entry course, the different career paths that people had. So I've interviewed pharmacists, paramedics, nurses, photographers, people, there was a music teacher.
That's amazing.
Just the idea that if someone in one of these obscure situations decides that they maybe want to do that, or they might not even realise that that's an option, that there is now a resource that they can look to. And the other major side of what I make is it's kind of ethics videos and how to tackle questions in the interview, things that...
Practical things, right?
If you were at school and you were 17 or 16, 17 preparing for your interviews, that ideally someone would tell you that knows how to game the system. So
no, I completely agree with you. I think it's I understand where you're coming from, because I think it's kind of like cathartic for me to kind of leave like something that I would have really wanted at the time. So I completely get that. So yeah, I think I might wrap it up just there. Thank you so much for being on my channel. We've eventually come to make this collaboration, and guys, I will leave all of Ollie's links to videos, social media, whatever. He's really prolific on the internet. I don't know how he does it. So all the links below. Join the club. We don't sleep. So go and check him out. And if you have any questions for us, leave it in the comments. More than happy to answer. And that's it.
Before we do wrap up, like while we're still on camera, I'd just like to say I think the content you make is amazing.
Thank you.
Particularly,
I'm blushing.
No, but going through that process of applying multiple times, if it had been me, thankfully it's not something, because obviously I kind of cheated the UCAS system a little bit and didn't have to go through it. But if it had been me, I absolutely would not have had the courage to do that, and I think it's such a good service that people can look to it and know that it's just part of the process.
No, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you. And thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Oh, forgot to say, we also have a video on Ollie's channel.
Yes.
You might have assumed that because it's a collab. It'll be all linked below. Thank you for watching,
Take
and
care.